The clock is ticking on this year's legislative session, but Idaho lawmakers have yet to tackle their biggest issue. Reporter Hannah Nato has much more inside the State House.
Even one day before the legislative session is expected to end, there's still no clear consensus on what to do with transportation funding.
I just think that we don't have enough information.
Ever since I walked through the doors of the legislature, we knew that we had a $200 million problem.
The legislature has already approved $134 million in Garvey bond funding, with $100 million of that going to fixing I-84 in the Treasure Valley.
This year's Garvey bond funding will go towards building the much anticipated 10-mile interchange. But Garvey funding won't solve the state's bigger problem.
But the big question, how to fill that $200 million a year hole, has so far eluded lawmakers.
It's just a matter of striking that balance between doing enough and still making it fair for taxpayers.
Many are looking toward local option sales tax as a possible solution so that local governments can choose whether to tax themselves to pay for construction. But it's a possible solution that has had a long, rocky road.
The state of Idaho has gone around and around on this point for several decades.
Hannah Nato, today's Channel 6 News.
Governor Butch Otter is clearly frustrated with the lack of progress on transportation funding. Late this afternoon, he sent us this message. Simply put, there is a shortage of vision and political will within the legislature to do what needs to be done this year. Lawmakers did back a plan to put the ITD's spending under the microscope. The state will spend more than $500,000 to audit the department. Supporters of the bill say they want to make sure any money they allocate for the upcoming budget is spent wisely.
Transportation as an issue is dead for all intents and purposes, and that's what leading Republicans at the State House are telling us at this hour. Senior political reporter Scott Logan is live in the News Center with more on this story.
A bill that passed a House committee yesterday that would have raised the state's gas tax and vehicle registration fees never made it to the House floor for a vote today. In fact, it looks like it's going nowhere fast. Top House Republicans say the bill simply was not getting the support that it needed, and so it will be withdrawn tomorrow or next week. And since any bills to raise taxes or fees must originate from the House, we're being told not to expect any more road-related fee increases at this time.
Transportation this session is dead.
I would say substantial transportation increases this year are dead. It's pretty unlikely that we'll actually move forward with any revenue-enhancing programs at this time.
Roberts says lawmakers plan to work with the governor's office through the summer and fall and come back next session to craft ways to raise more money for the estimated $240 million backlog in road repair and maintenance in the state. Now, that bill would have raised $68 million. Some critics have blasted House Republicans for not appreciating the seriousness of the state's road maintenance and repair needs and said lawmakers don't want to raise fees or taxes in this election year. Roberts says that's not the case, but says more work is needed to address where the money to fix roads will come from. Live in the News Center, Scott Logan, CBS 2 Eyewitness News.
And the transportation funding bill did not sit well with Governor Butch Otter. That's because it would have raised the state's fuel tax by 3 cents. And Otter made it clear in his January State of the State address he was strongly opposed to a gas tax increase. His spokesperson says the governor feels the issue is not being addressed in a meaningful way. In a written statement, the governor says in part, quote, simply put, there is a shortage of vision and political will within the legislature to do what needs to be done this year. If you'd like to read Otter's complete statement, go to our website, 2news.tv.